All right, welcome to the Jared Williams Show. I'm Jared. This is Joel. I've scaled my plumbing business to over $5 million a year, and just recently sold it for $5 million. I can say that now. And one of the ways I was able to do that was using the exact call script that we're going to give you for free in this podcast, and implementing a few simple changes. We're going to go over what those were that really made my business explode. By the end of this podcast, you're going to be able to add a couple $1,000s in revenue to your home service business. Doesn't matter if you're a plumber, electrician, HVAC guy, whatever. We got value for you, so follow along. But first, what's up, Joel?
Hey, Jared, how's it going?
Dude, what's new in the world?
Dude, a whole bunch is new.
A whole butt ton is new.
A whole butt ton, yeah.
It's craziness.
Yeah, you're like the brokest you've ever been in your life right now.
Right now.
Because
I am. Dude, let's talk about that. So, because I didn't know if I was allowed to say that I sold my business, but I did. I just sold my business. And for everybody listening to this podcast, we missed putting out a podcast.
Yeah, it might have been, do you think it was last time or a couple times ago or like?
I think it's going to be
when this airs.
Last week when this airs, which is technically today when we're recording this, because we record these.
It's Podcast Friday, by the way. Everybody.
Podcast Friday a little bit in advance. And we missed it because I was busy doing stuff. And we got the episode recorded just in time, but we had a technical error.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
It happens, and it didn't get recorded.
Yeah, so our bad, everybody.
Our bad. But you're probably out there going, our regular listeners are like, oh my gosh, did Jared die?
Yeah, they're like, something catastrophic
That's
must
probably
have
the last thing they're thinking. They're probably thinking like, crap, did Joel die?
Yeah, I'd be the one to probably
made
die
the show.
first. Yeah, thinking about it. Actually, you'd totally be the one to die first.
I definitely would be the one to die first.
Yeah.
Some catastrophic, absolutely retarded accident.
Well, I mean, you broke your leg on a one wheel.
Yeah.
Like,
doesn't get any more dumb than
no. Yeah, it's pretty dumb.
that. Yeah.
Anyway, so you sold your business.
Sold my business.
Why'd you sell it?
Because I live in Florida and my business is in Alaska.
Isn't that cool though?
And it's cool, right?
Sure.
And it ran very well without me there. It's 2024, so you can look at data on Service Titan and you can put it in spreadsheets, and I would just have a Zoom meeting with my general manager and we would implement things. And that was my whole job, was I would look at data, think about the business, and then tell my general manager what to implement. Actually, I should not take credit for all of that.
Sure, of course.
I would talk it over with my general manager.
Of course.
And get his 2 cents, and we would come up with a plan together on what to implement.
Yep.
And then he would implement. He's really good at it. So yeah, it was cool, and the business made me. I mean, the last month that I owned it, we hit 42% net profit margins.
Yeah, which is pretty stinking good.
Super good, best month we've ever had in the history of the company.
Yep.
And so far this year, we've done extremely good profit margins, all from a lot of the changes we're going to talk about in the podcast today. So it was super fun growing the business. I've owned it for 4 years from start to sell.
Yeah, own it for 4 years, and to be fair, this was like your third or fourth time of actually starting this thing.
Oh yeah.
So it's like sometimes there's an impression where it's just like, oh, you grew this thing overnight and then just boom, done, you sold it. But it's
No,
like
not the
you've been
case at all.
whacking down this tree for a long freaking time.
Yeah, I failed at it multiple times.
Yeah.
And then finally, learned a little bit and
Sure. Understood a couple skill set key things.
Learned. That's really what happened, is I learned some skill sets that allowed me to move forward.
Yeah.
And then I realized, it's the skill that allowed me to move forward.
Right.
And then I went and learned more skill sets.
Right, sure.
And developed more skill sets. I got better at certain things. And that's kind of like the blessing of growing my business where I grew it. We reached a point where we had really good market saturation because it's a small market. And to grow from where we're at, the game we had to play was, instead of just growing for growth's sake, we had to get better at what we were doing.
Right.
And so we were able to take the last couple of years and just get better at what we do. And it was really good to have that time to do that.
Sure, because I don't think many companies have that time because
they don't take that time.
Yeah, sure.
They could.
Sure. They could. Yeah, they could pause at a moment and just refine, right?
They could.
Yeah.
But you need to pause at the right time.
Sure.
Right?
Because if you pause at the wrong time, you might be pausing at one of the valleys instead of one of the peaks.
Yes. And so had I grown, had I moved out of state and then started a business, let's say here in Florida, I wouldn't have been smart enough to pause and make sure this thing was a well-oiled machine and then grow it. I would have kept growing just for growth's sake, because my understanding of the business was the more we grow, the more money we make.
Yeah, and that's
not necessarily true.
And it comes through social media from lots of different people.
Correct.
Where it's just like, oh, the goal is to have a massive top line revenue business because that means you make a ton of money, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, screw that. You can have a $3 million business raking in $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah.
And that's badass.
Super badass.
And then so that's a sweet spot. That'd be a good time to pause, collect some cash, get some cash.
You're collecting
reserves.
a lot of cash.
Collecting a lot of cash.
Like, even
if you're not dumb and you don't spend it, you keep your lifestyle expenses low.
I promised a guy a yacht party when we grow this pressure washing company. So
oh, you just spoiled one of our changes, dude.
Oh yeah. It's okay. We'll get there.
So if you're smart at that point, you can get cash heavy then.
Yeah.
And now you have cash to reinvest in your business to grow it.
Yeah, sure.
Now you can grow a lot faster with a lot less risk, right? And then I think from what I can tell with my business is the next sweet spot is somewhere around 6 to 7 million. I think 7 million you could probably hit. Like we had 8 guys we hit. This year we're on track to do close to 6.
Cool.
And I think we probably could have been at 25 net by the end of the year, would be my guess. Maybe a little better. Ideally, it would be awesome to hit 30, but I don't think that would happen until we added a couple more guys.
Sure, just to sort of bear the burden of the business a little bit more.
Yep. And if we just added 2 more guys and we had the work for it at this point, we had the foundation for it, we had the systems for it, I think that thing could sit around 7 million and rake in a lot of cash.
Yeah.
I think it could hit 30% net consistently.
Yeah.
At 7 million. So I think that would be the next sweet spot to hit, right? But ultimately I sold it because there's bigger opportunities that I can get to because I sold it.
It was taking such a little part of your time. Like, why didn't you just keep it and then invest in those bigger opportunities? Since it's only taking so much of your time, you know?
Because now I have the cash to do that.
Sure, because before, sure, I understand.
Right. So, and my big thing was like, it didn't make enough cash for me to go. It did make enough cash for me to go invest in something else, but it didn't make enough cash for me to invest in something else and be relatively low risk.
Sure. So it was a risky move. Yeah.
I'm always trying to mitigate my risk in all of my moves. Well, now I've got a big amount of cash. I can go put that in a high yield savings account and I can use pieces of it to grow my business. All the meantime, I got a pile of cash and I'm making enough money to live just off the interest from my accounts, right?
If your other investments that you're building don't start to pump out cash quicker.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I don't have to, there was a few different moves I could make afterwards. And I didn't really make that decision until like the day after I sold. I didn't have the mental capacity to think about it. And that's the other portion of it, which I think you're about to go down, is that if I start a business down here and I have a business in Alaska, my attention is divided.
Sure.
Right. And it's already divided a little bit because I have the personal brand, the podcast, the coaching company.
I mean, it's quite divided, we could say.
And the company in Alaska. And I asked my GM, I think just a couple days before we sold, I said, look, I asked him, when my attention is on growing one of my other businesses and I'm not thinking about Prospector, I said, what happens to it? I told him, be honest with me, which was I didn't have to say that because he was going to be honest with me regardless, because that's how he is.
Yep.
And he goes, oh, it starts to stagnate. And if it stagnates for too long, it starts to go downhill.
Sure.
I was like, okay, interesting. I said, so what happens when my attention, like, because every now and then I'll fly up there for a couple of weeks. And I said, when I fly here for a couple of weeks and my attention is solely on this business, what does that do? And he goes, oh, we start to grow again. We start to innovate come up with good ideas, and somebody's looking at it big picture. And I was like, okay, that's one of the reasons that I needed to sell, because I needed to put my undivided attention. Still not gonna be totally undivided, but I need to focus a larger portion of my attention on my biggest opportunity.
Sure.
Right. So we decided to start a pressure washing business, as weird as that is.
Yeah, and it's kind of funny because we've been thinking about this for a while, but it was always kind of a joke. Like, oh, worst case scenario, man, if nothing works with the coaching program or whatever, we'll just start a pressure washing company.
Yeah.
Kind of like a joke. And but then when we got to thinking about it and we ran the numbers and we started using all the things that you've learned growing your business and applying those to a pressure washing company, it just started to become a much more and more appealing position.
I saw a video from Cody Sanchez about a pressure washing company, and in the video, the guy said they hit 35% net margins, and they showed, basically they just have they were able to sink a ton of money into equipment, which made them really efficient, and it allowed them to make a ton of money. And I was like, oh, 35% net margins. It's not hard to get people. We can train relatively easy. We live in a place where people need it.
And we live in a place where like there's very few small businesses that are actually operating properly. Especially in the home service space.
Nobody's doing it super well here. The biggest one we could find here had 3 people in it. And they seem to be like the kings of the market. There's only like 3 people in a market of 500,000 with more than 100 reviews. And so...
And we have lots of expansion opportunities up and down the coast, east and west.
So we started digging into like the truck, the cost of the truck, found a company that'll outfit your trucks to do what we want to do. And we've got the LLC started. We literally just came from the bank and opened the bank account. And we are purchasing a truck. Well, then it's going to get outfitted and we're going to rock and roll.
Yeah, I mean, we're really like a month away from starting to actually do cool stuff. Because everything the truck's got to get outfitted and we got to go fly up and get it, drive it back, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's really exciting for us because it's like, I mean, with us, like, Jared, what's our goal with this company?
I want a home service company to grow to $100 million in revenue. And absolute bare minimum hitting 20% net margins.
Yeah, bare minimum.
Absolute bare minimum. I really, really would love, and I don't know if it's possible, I would love to have a $100 million company that's hitting 30% net margins. And I think it's doable.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really do. I think if we focus on selling memberships and running an efficient business, I think we can... And really taking care of our customers.
Sure.
Getting those, inputting systems that have cost controls and getting a really high lifetime value out of our customers so that they keep coming back and using us for more, keep those marketing costs down. I think we can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm most excited because it's going to be nice to go back out into the physical labor space. Because it's going to be me in a truck with whomever I bring in. And then it's just going to be fun to do cool stuff again. Run around and learn things and experience things from a different angle.
So we started the company. We should talk about this because a lot of people have a hard time just getting going.
With these upfront moves that you sort of have to make before you can actually start doing work legally where you live.
And we're literally like, what have we spent on this? A couple $100.
So the way that we did it, and we did it like when we made our LLC and everything, I used LegalZoom because I'm much more the guy who's like, I'm just going to pay some money to like make sure all my T's are dotted and my I's are crossed. I don't have to dig around for spreadsheets. Jared is much more, probably because he's more experienced, but he's just like, I'll just go get the legal docs and fill them out and do it myself. So
but
I think
how much did you spend on LegalZoom?
Probably $1,000.
It was $1,000
all total, and that's like with a registered person or whatever. Like it's the whole suite, almost everything they offered except for things that just didn't make sense. So it's like maybe right under $1,000.
So first thing we did was we researched our market a little bit.
Yep.
Which if you own a plumbing company, You don't need to research your market. I can tell you right now, it doesn't matter what market you live in. There is room for a plumbing company to come in and do a good job and take over the market,
Right.
or at least a portion of the market.
Yep.
And then we picked a name.
Yep.
We kind of joked about the name a while ago, and
Yeah.
so it was easy for us to pick a name.
Mm-hmm.
But a name is like the big thing. Like we could call this thing
Mm.
Joel's Pressure Washing, or
Oh,
J&J Pressure Washing,
Sure, yeah.
or
Yeah.
Williams Pressure Washing,
yeah.
or
Bill's pressure washing.
or something like that.
Yeah.
Or we could pick like, Gulf Shores or
Sure.
Pensacola or
Yeah, sure. Pensacola's premier power washers.
Something dumb like that.
Yeah.
But we wanted a name that like stood out and was like, what the crap is that?
Yeah.
So so we picked a name. It's called Dude Wash.
Yep.
And we're just going to have a dude
Yep.
right now. Well, we're getting a logo made.
Yeah.
But
Which is one of the things that we have the fortunate, because we have cash put in the business, we can
Yeah.
do this a really cool way that we can stack the deck in our favor really hard.
Yeah, we can. But like if in reality, anybody could take the steps that we've taken so far.
Oh
like,
yeah. And again, you don't need to use legal Zoom and $1,000. You can
No.
do this you're going to have some filing fees that you're probably going to have to pay. That's going to be different per state.
Yeah.
But
It's going to cost you a couple $100
Yeah.
to go get the licensing. And this is true for plumbing business, electrical business, all of the above. So we got licensing. We picked a name. We got the licensing because we needed the name to get the licensing.
and I think did we start working on this like 5
Last
days ago?
week. Yeah.
Like Friday of last week. Friday of last week, I think we sat down and we wrote down the list of the things that we needed to do.
Yep.
And then we just started banging out all those things during this week.
Yeah. Monday.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Literally 5 days ago.
Yeah.
You built a temporary logo on ChatGPT,
Yep. Looks pretty good.
which I used to tell people to go to 99 Designs, but now I would be like, man, just go get ChatGPT 4. It's what, 20 bucks a month?
Yeah.
So there's another $20, and then you can have it make you an infinite amount of logos.
Yeah, I think I spent maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, we'll say, just typing in logos. And I wasn't even getting super sophisticated with the prompts I was giving. I think I could get a little bit better. But yeah, I got a acceptable logo out of it. That's going to be our temporary logo so we can get our GMB,
Dude.
God willing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a good logo. Like anybody on 99 Designs would have given me that logo.
Probably worse.
Honestly,
it's a better,
probably worse.
It's a better
Yeah.
logo than you would have gotten in that.
And I got it way quicker. It only took me 2 hours from start to finish and $20 instead of
like a couple $100,
at least a couple hundred.
and a few days.
Yeah.
Yep.
So ChatGPT can make you good logos if you pay for it. You just got to be patient. And it's a cool tool. So we got our logo, our temporary logo.
Yep. We got our temporary logo, and then we just went and opened up our business bank account.
Well, we filed for our LLC. We got our EIN. We did all that stuff.
Yep.
And that all came through. And then there's some local tax receipts you need. And so we got those. And then with those, we can go to the bank account. We got registered in the proper places. And then we could open up a bank account. So we just did that. Applied for credit cards.
Yep. So credit cards should be here next week.
Yep.
And then we found a truck. That's
Yep.
what we want.
Mm-hmm.
We found a company that outfits the truck.
Yep. Been talking to them quite a bit throughout the week.
Yep.
It's kind of fun because it's like, I don't know what I'm doing. Just give me a bunch of cool stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So I actually started 4 new companies this week.
Yeah, you've been busy starting
Yeah.
companies this week.
It's funny.
Yeah.
So the way we're going to roll this is I started a leasing company. I'm going to put money into the leasing company. The leasing company is actually going to buy the vehicles and lease them to Dude Wash.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dude Wash will just pay a lease to my leasing company, which is Gnarly Leasings. Whatever. I made a logo for it on ChatGPT as well. Even though I didn't need one, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the luxury of dumping the cash into it now.
Yeah, sure.
But even if you didn't have that much cash and you're wanting to start a plumbing business or an electrical business or an HVAC business or even a pressure washing business, you can go get a truck and put $1,000 down.
Right.
Not a truck, but like a new van. And you can slap a logo you created on ChatGPT. You could get a magnet from Vistaprint for a few bucks.
Yep.
And even a pressure washing business. Like, go find somebody who just gets the bare minimum truck set up.
Yep.
And go finance it.
Yep.
And then go start knocking on doors and making money.
Yep. I mean, guys, I'm about to just go, once we get our vehicle, I'm about to just go and do a butt ton of door knocking.
Yeah.
Because,
yeah.
I mean, what else am I going to do?
Our plan for that, because we don't have any experience pressure washing, like when I started my plumbing business, it was really easy because I hopped in a van and I started plumbing.
And you could just bill right away.
And I was already really good at it.
Yep.
So if I got a job, I would just go do it and make money.
Right.
The downside to us right now is we don't know diddly squat about pressure washing. So
yeah,
you've been watching a ton of videos on how to do it, which is like, if you don't know how to do it, go figure it out and watch it on YouTube. Go do some free work. So we're going to go find some dirty homes and we're going to knock on their door and we're going to ask them if we can wash their house for free just to get the experience and figure out how we're going to boil all of this down into a price book that we can use to sell our services.
And then meanwhile, we're going to, again, God willing, have our GMB up so we can start getting reviews off of that free service and then try to sell as many memberships as we can.
Yeah.
Because if I can do a really good job at a free service, get a 5-star review and say, hey, if you should do this again in 6 months because of all these reasons, just hop into our membership program. You're going to get 15% off and all these things. Yeah. And I'll get you on a schedule right now. I'll come back in 6 months. We'll take care of you.
We'll pre-sell some work that way.
Yep. And then we just start to like stack the deck in our favor as soon as we can. Yep. Because we're not even going to have like all our marketing assets aren't going to be ready for another
another 4 months.
4 months before we're like, okay, we can turn on marketing and do stuff.
Yep.
So it's like we have a lot of time. Well, kind of a lot of time.
So we're going to go learn how to do it and then make our own work.
Yeah.
Just like everybody else.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
I'm it's going to be fun. It's going to be super fun. It's going to be cool.
But I mean, really, like we started this business in like a week, which anybody can do.
Yep.
I think sometimes the paperwork side, people get stuck up on that, but I'm a big fan of like either rush filing, like LegalZoom, people who just tell me what I need in my area and they just connect the dots for me.
Yep.
And then also guys like ChatGPT is when I had questions and like this is what my go-to now is I don't go to Google. I just go ChatGPT and I say, hey, in Pensacola, Florida, how do I create an LLC? What steps? And it will outline all the steps and it will provide me the links of the websites that I need to go to.
Yep.
And I'm like, oh, what licensing requirements? And it's like, oh, check out these. I'm like, okay. Yep. Like it is if you have questions, just go to ChatGPT.
Yep.
It is just remember guys, all it is it's a robot that reads the internet way faster than you ever could. And it gives you good data. That's all it is.
Yep.
And so it's just a beautiful little productivity tool.
Yeah.
We should get an affiliate link.
For ChatGPT?
Yeah.
I don't go to ChatGPT, but I should probably start doing that. But it just points to the fact that anybody who's watching this, you literally have no freaking excuse because you have all the tools at your fingertips. It's just a little bit of action on your part is all it takes.
Yep.
And the crazy part is anybody and everybody on planet Earth is sitting on the same opportunity that we're sitting on.
Right.
Like it doesn't take any skills or anything to start a pressure washing business. You need a little bit of cash. So even if you don't have cash, you still have the ability. You go get a second job, go find some side work, go find a way to make a little bit of extra cash, cut some of your expenses, save some money.
Sure.
And you can start this thing up just like we did and grow it to the same that we're going to grow it on. That's it. Everybody has that opportunity. It's just who takes it and who makes it.
Right.
And I guess that's the crazy part to me is some people sit there and do nothing, even though they have this opportunity because they don't, and it's lack of belief in themselves.
Sure,
it's lack of understanding on how the world works. But it's crazy. And they can literally go change their entire life. So if we grow this to what we want to grow it to at the margins we grow it to, it'll change my life from where it's at. It'll change your life from where it's at.
Sure, it'll change our kids' lives.
It'll change hundreds of people's lives around us, probably thousands.
Yeah, all the people we hire and the opportunities we give them because we're running under the same principles that we've talked about where it's like the customer's going to win, the business owner's going to win, the employees are going to win. Like everybody's going to win here, so we're going to pay well, we're going to take care of everybody. So it's going to be yeah, it's going to be super fun just because of the level of opportunity that we can provide to other people.
Yeah.
Let alone just the amount of money that we'll make and do everything that we want to do, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be, and again, it's a super simple business model, and it's fun doing stuff physically out there in the world. You know, it's cool.
It's going to be fun.
I'm already having fun.
Yeah. I also started a plumbing business this week too, called Wahoo Plumbing. I've had the brand done for a long time. And I was like, maybe I'll start it. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll start a pressure washing business. Maybe I'll buy a plumbing company and flip it. And I might still buy and flip it into Wahoo.
Sure.
But so far the plan is I'm gonna help get this pressure washing company going, and then I'm gonna start up Wahoo Plumbing down here in Pensacola, Florida. And then so far plan is once that's going, I'll get it to $1 million a year in EBITDA or profit, and then I'll take that $1 million and I'll go spend $800 to $1 million on acquiring an HVAC company. We'll do a tuck in with an HVAC company.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we got some cool. So, and this comes back to like the original question of like, why selling Prospector? And it kind of comes down to, it's like, because if you didn't do that, we wouldn't be looking down the barrel of much greater opportunities than Prospector ever could.
Yep.
Like it's cool you hold on the Prospector and yeah, you can make $1 million a year working remote.
The same opportunity was there with Prospector, but I would have to be in Alaska.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
And my wife doesn't want to go back to Alaska. And I don't want to go back to Alaska either. So yeah, it was the move to be done. It's like flipping houses. It's like
yeah, except like way cooler because you make way more money.
It's like when you buy a house, when you buy your first house, you buy a small house, you know, because you have a tiny down payment, and so maybe you buy a house for, like your first house was what, 180?
Yeah, I think so.
And then you sold it for what, 260?
Yep.
Yeah.
We didn't even mean to. It was funny because we bought it in foreclosure.
Yeah.
And we didn't even mean to flip it, and it just turned out that we wanted to sell, but then we made like a bunch of money on it.
Yeah.
It's like an accidental flip. It was awesome.
Yeah, and I came and helped you fix the plumbing, and it was like 5 things.
Yeah.
It was like 5 bursts, and
yeah. I don't even think it was. Yeah, it was just. Yeah, it was super.
It was
simple.
not very much.
Yep.
I remember replacing a ball valve, and like maybe fixing one thing in your crawl space.
Yeah.
And then your water was on. And then,
Yep.
because things freeze in Alaska.
Yeah.
So when they go on foreclosure,
Yeah.
it gets shut off, things freeze. Usually it's catastrophic, but in the case of your house, it was
It was fine. It was
super
easy.
chill.
Yep.
And then what'd you do? Replace the flooring and do some painting? And
Yeah, we just we painted, replaced the flooring, and then that was pretty much it. And then we just sold it because we wanted to help out a friend, and that didn't work out. But still, we made money on it.
yeah.
So it's like your Prospector was essentially that same, not the same style of flip, but it's like
Kind of.
similar in the way where it's
It's like if I built my first house instead of sold it.
yeah,
So I bought my first house, sold it. I made 20 grand. I took that 20 grand. I bought some land and took a loan out and built another house. Then I sold that house and I made 100 grand. And that was nice. The 100 grand I used to move down here.
Yep.
Sold my house and moved down here. And they went 100 G's like that.
Dude, I did the same thing when I moved.
Yeah. So yeah, it's similar to the same thing. You know, you live in the house for so long and then it's time to cash in on your investment and move up in the world.
I think it's kind of cool because, again, like everybody listening to this, you have the same opportunity, like the point that you're just making.
Oh yeah.
It's like the sooner people start viewing their businesses as assets, and really look at them as like, holy crap, I could sell this in a handful of years for millions of dollars that I can either just live off of the interest in a good savings account, pay me $250K per year or whatever, or I can make other moves and then invest to just do, like, you can really change the lives of everybody that you know and yourself with what you're currently doing. I think a lot of times people want to branch out into other markets or other things. I'm going to try flips or this, or I'm going to like go do some retail. Like people start to get really complicated with stuff. And because I watched you do this where you were like, Joel, I don't want to plumb anymore, like years ago. And you're like, I'm going to start this business. I'm going to start this business. I just never want to plumb. I always think it's very funny and ironic that it was actually plumbing that got you, like leaning into plumbing actually got you the freedom that you wanted. Instead of these other things. So
it is funny.
I mean, what you did is not like unique. It's not like,
no,
it's like something everybody listening to this can do this.
Hands down.
Yeah.
If I did it, they can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hands down.
Yep.
I'm the last person that anybody ever expected to grow a plumbing business to $5 million a year in sales and over $1 million in profit, and then turn around and sell it for $5 million bucks.
Yeah.
I am literally the last person on the planet.
Yep.
Like growing up, nobody would have told you that. Out of everybody I knew, I would have been the last person they picked.
Yeah, everybody would have picked all the other people in the friend group. And then Jared.
It's like when you're picking people on your baseball team.
Yeah, sure.
I would have been the very last one.
Yeah,
right. I would have been the first one for the baseball team pick, but I would have been the last one for he's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just period.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. I was like, my life goals were to be a bum.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to move to Australia and be a bum. Or I was going to work at Subway, live on the beach.
Yep, naturally.
And eat my one free Subway sandwich a day.
That's all you needed.
Fish for the rest of my food.
Yeah. Yep.
That was my dreams.
Yep.
And then I got my girlfriend pregnant.
Damn it.
Who's
There
now
goes
my
those
wife.
dreams. Yeah.
Yeah, there went those dreams, but in hindsight, best thing that ever happened to me. Got me out of loserhood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loserhood.
Okay. We got a lot coming up. By the way, we're just going to sit here. We are going to document this whole process on this podcast. This podcast may turn into more. I might start doing some more, now that I have a little more time on my hands. I may start just doing some like 10-minute videos, instructional videos on stuff. So keep an eye out for that.
Yep. It'll be rad.
It will be rad. Either way, we're going to document and teach everything we do on this YouTube channel. So make sure subscribe. If you haven't grabbed our playbook yet, go grab it. It's www.wealthyplumber.com/playbook. You can, everything I've learned over the last 4 years that's been really important for my growth is in this playbook. So you can gather a lot of information for free, 100% free. Just put in your email address. We'll email it to you. A lot of times it goes into your junk mail. So make sure and check that. www.wealthyplumber.com/playbook. Or if you're watching on YouTube, it's in the link in the description below. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the title of this video, I believe, is the phone script, or this phone script made me 17 million, steal it.
Yeah.
And that's how much I've made from my plumbing business over the last 4 years. Not even. Yeah.
I don't know.
Probably somewhere around 17 million is how much money we've generated. How much I took home? Probably, I don't know, 8 or 9 of that, maybe. Probably 8 of that. Yeah. That sounds about right. Something like that. So maybe it's more than 17, but we're going to go over the phone script, but there's more to it than just the phone script.
Sure.
That is going to make this happen. So we're really going to talk about, like, in order for the phone script to work, you really need to understand the whole call center system and process. So everything in your business is a system or a process.
Sure.
And so if you're in the home service industry where people call you and they have a problem or something they want, and you send somebody out to their home to fix problem or give them what they want, you run the same system. It's the same processes in your business. And let's see. I think I broke it down into 5.
Yeah,
Is
I
it
can
4
never
or is it
remember.
5?
I think it's 5, but I can never remember all 5 of them.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay.
You have a marketing system, right? Because you need to be able to get customers to come in your door. And part of that is you need to retain customers that do come in your door. So you need to get them to buy from you more than once. Because if you've marketed to them once and you can keep them buying from you, you don't have to market to them again. Marketing costs go down, profits go up. Okay. But you also need to get new customers because people move.
Yep.
People, you make a mistake and they start using somebody else. That stuff
You can't
happens.
schedule them and they use somebody else.
And if you're not bringing in new customers, then you're not going to make very much money. So
True.
Marketing is a big deal. Marketing system. Okay. Then once you market to somebody, they're going to reach out to your business. So we need to have a call center system. So when people call you or schedule on your website or fill out a form to get a hold of you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's one other thing we did. We signed up for Sarah Systems to check it out.
Yep.
So in my last business, we used Service Titan. It's a great product. Highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
But I've learned a lot from
Billy Stevens.
Billy Stevens off of his podcast. If you're not watching it, go watch it. What is it? No BS with Billy Stevens. It's Landon and Billy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is with Billy and Landon. I think that's what it is. Go watch it. It's a good podcast. So I signed up for his software to check it out. So we're going to test it out on Dude Wash. I think I signed up for it for Wahoo as well. Start building out that price book in there. So when people book online, they fill out a form, they message you on Facebook, they message you on your GMB, or they call your business. You need to have a system to take that from an input via any of those things into a booked job. Right. And then part of that system as well, actually that's a whole nother system. So you have your call center system, and then you have your fulfillment system. So once you have a booked job, how do you fulfill on that booked job? Right. So that's the technician, technician follows your Service Titan process. He follows your sales process at the home, fulfills on the work that he said he was going to do, follows your checkout process, and then closes the job out and collects the money, right? After that, what are we in? We're in 3?
Yeah, we've done 3.
3. Okay. Then you have I got all 5.
Oh, dang, nice.
After that, you have your follow-up system. How do you follow up with your customers? So if you sold the job and you did the work, you need to follow up and make sure that they're happy and that they don't need anything else.
Sure.
And if you didn't sell them a membership, sell them a membership then. And you also need to follow up if you didn't sell the job, so you can follow up and sell the work. Okay. And there's a whole system for that, how you should do that. It's super simple, but it needs to be a system in your business. And then there's the financial system. How do we ensure that we're priced right, we're hitting our gross margins, our overhead isn't too high, we, we're hitting our net margins? How do we ensure via this financial system that our business is going to be healthy financially?
Right.
So those are the 5 systems you need. That's it. If you boil all home service business down to those 5 things, that's it. And within those 5 systems, all 5 systems have the same goal.
Sure.
And it's the same goal that every employee in your business needs to have. That's drive revenue and drive customer satisfaction at the same time. So whenever we create a system, it has to do those 2 things.
Sure.
Whenever we have an employee, they need to do those 2 things. Whenever we want to incentivize our employees to do something, it has to be those 2 things.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Not side quests.
No side quests. That's it. Okay. Cool. So basically, we're going to talk about the call center system.
Yep.
So front to back
And
call center system.
I think we went over the financial system some number of episodes ago.
We did. Yeah, you can go check that out.
Yep.
We're actually going to talk about the call center system and the follow-up system.
Sure, yeah.
Because your call center is essentially going to do the follow-up.
Yep.
And so we'll just include it in there. Cool. And part of that, we'll give you the phone script for 17 that made me 17 million.
Sure.
For free.
For free.
Because we're awesome like that. So, call center system. What is that made up of, dude?
Yeah, and so when you say call center, like,
do
you mean people like CSRs, or do you mean like companies like Plumbline, like answering services?
That's all part of it, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
All that stuff.
Like, what's sort of the ideal setup in your mind within a call center system?
I mean, you need somebody there that's going to answer the phone and book the job, right? And then once they book the job, we're talking like 5 million and under business.
Yeah, sure.
Once they book the job, they need to be able to dispatch the right person to the job.
Right.
And then once the right person is at the job and the job is over, they need to follow up. And then when they all go home, how does all that happen still?
Yeah, sure.
Or at least how does answering the phone happen still?
Sure.
If needed. That's basically the whole system.
would you recommend like with a guy like just starting out, he's busy enough, he needs somebody to answer his phones. Like, would you recommend them hire a human to do that or just immediately go to the call center? Okay.
Human.
Gotcha.
Because that human can do the other things. Like when you hire a call center, they're just going to book jobs.
Yeah, sure.
That's it.
Yeah.
They're not going to
answering
follow
service,
up.
we should say.
They're not going to answer customer questions. They're not going to follow up on your emails. They're not going to take your form fills. They're not going to take your GMB messages or your Facebook messages or any of that. And if you hire a CSR, she can do all of that. Plus, she can run your schedule.
Sure.
So now you as the business owner don't have to worry about your schedule.
Yeah.
So
and she can do other stuff too, like collect on AR and stuff. Like, there's extra things that she can take off your plate as the business owner that will allow you to be a much more efficient money making machine.
Yes, and the amount of like brain freedom that you get and then time freedom that you get from hiring a CSR will make you more money than what it costs you to pay for the CSR.
Yeah.
And by CSR, I mean customer service representative.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I was just thinking about this, Jared, but like within the context of Dude Wash, in my brain, it has never occurred to me that I'm going to be answering a phone because I'm not. Like I already know, like, oh yeah, my wife's going to answer the phones right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's just funny to me because it's like I've never factored into answering a phone and being efficient washing houses.
Sounds hard, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like
it's super hard.
Yeah, it does not sound like the game to play.
Yeah, you miss out on work.
Lots of work, especially in a game where high efficiency is what you want.
And if you think about it, like you can hire a CSR to work from home because you probably don't have a shop yet.
Yep.
For $20 an hour.
Yeah.
And if she could book like, what's, let me get my calculator.
Ooh, math time.
Math time. I brought my phone in just for that.
Oh, that's a good move.
My brother just texted me, said, letting go of nice guys sucks. However, hiring awesome guys rocks.
That's so funny.
He must have just fired somebody.
Oh, man. Must have been a nice guy, too.
Yeah, he's right, though.
Mm-hmm.
Nice guys that don't do their jobs.
Yeah.
It's hard to fire, but...
Yep. You usually keep them too long because you really pull them for them and you really want to mentor them, but then...
Yeah.
They just don't turn that corner like you need them to.
Nope. So $20 an hour, that costs you $3,200 a month. And we'll add in 20% for taxes and junk. So $3,800. My average ticket at my company last month was $3,800. That's one job.
Sure.
So if we missed one job, it was worth hiring a CSR.
Yeah.
So if your average ticket is $1,000, which if it's under $1,000, you got problems. You're either priced too low, you're not really taking care of your customers very well. You're being a Band-Aid fixer. But even if it's $1,000, it's only 4 jobs.
Yeah.
So if you having to answer the phone is costing you 4 jobs a month,
chances are it probably is.
Well, it depends. Maybe not in the beginning.
Sure, I guess.
But the second it's costing you work, you're money ahead to go hire a CSR and do better fulfilling on doing the work to make more money that way. Even if you just break even, your life is easier.
Yeah, your workflow is better. You're
way better
because you're not talking to anybody.
You're gonna be
you're just doing the work.
You're gonna be a way better headspace to grow your business.
Yeah, because and then it's so clear what your objectives are every day you wake up. Because you're like, all right, I'm gonna go get in my truck and do the work set ahead of me, and then you.
When I hired your wife, your wife was my first CSR for everybody listening. When I hired her, I wrote my schedule down in a notebook. Every page was a day, and I split it up into 4 pieces. So I'd schedule people 8 to 10, 10 to noon, noon to 2, 2 to 4. We still schedule that way to this day. And I would take the phone. I would go through this call script. I would write down the information. I would text the customer. And I knew everybody that was scheduled in my notebook.
Sure.
So I knew like all the work that was ahead of me. And it would take up so much space in my brain.
Yeah.
I think about it all the time.
Yeah. Like,
and when
What were you thinking about though? Like
just it's there and I know details about it and I think about it.
Would the details like pop into your brain like you didn't
all
want
the
them to, and suddenly you'd be thinking about like Sally Mae's boiler swap that you had to do in 2 weeks, and you're waiting on the part, and you're like, oh, I should go call the parts house really quick.
Oh, all the time.
And you're just like,
all the time.
oh yeah.
Yep. And I'd get booked out months.
Sure.
And I'd be thinking about months worth of work all the time.
Yeah.
And so when I hired your wife, what we did is I got Trello. So we set up Trello with different cards. We had a card for each day. And then within each day, we had 4 cards for each time slot.
Mm-hmm.
And I had QuickBooks on my phone. That's how I'd bill out customers. And so she got QuickBooks on her computer. And she would put the information in Trello when the customer called. And then she would put the customer's information in QuickBooks. So when I woke up, I would force myself to not look at any other cards except for the card for today and my first job.
Yeah.
The next job.
Was that hard for you?
No.
Really?
It was awesome.
Oh, gotcha.
I freaking loved it.
Gotcha.
It was phenomenal. I had no idea what my next job was,
Yeah,
or
if I
even had one.
Oh man,
I
did it make you
know.
nervous and make you scared?
No, dude, because I made so much money. I was making so much money back then.
Sure,
it was crazy.
Yeah.
I was selling every job, every customer. I was getting thousands of dollars from.
And you mean what you mean when you say that, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Is compared to what you were making previous to this moment, in life and business, it's way more.
Oh yeah.
Once you because you got your pricing figured out to some degree.
I was $259 an hour, and I billed out $640-some thousand in like 4 months.
Oh wow! So you're just doing lots of stuff.
I was just slamming.
It's so
and
funny
jamming.
that because I remember when you upped your prices to $259.
I was like, so scared.
Yeah, it was like very.
And I started marking up my parts 100%, and I was like, I used to mark my parts up 20% when I first started.
Pretty typical.
Because I didn't understand like
of course
what that does to my P&L, right?
Yeah.
It just ruins your P&L.
Yeah.
And then the second time I went into business, I upped my hourly rate from 120 to 140 and started marking up my parts 30%. And I was like, this is
bold move.
This is freaking crazy. And I felt bad for charging that. I thought I was, I thought I was ripping people off.
True.
And I felt bad about it. And I'd go to people's houses with that attitude.
Yep.
And then wonder why I didn't make any money.
Yep.
And when I had that mindset switch of like, you know what, I'm in business. I'm a valuable individual. These guys need my skill. I need to charge for what I'm worth. And I did the math on how much I was spending to run my business, and I boiled it down to how much I needed to make an hour, and it was $259. And then I finally understood like, oh, I have to mark up my materials at least. At that time, I thought at least 100%. That leaves me 50% on my P&L. My overhead's 30, and that leaves me 20 for profit. And I went into the customer's home with confidence in my numbers. I remember the first job, I was a little scared. And I went in, and the guy had a ton of work he needed done. It's like a 10 hours worth of work.
Yep.
And it was like $3,500. And I split it all out, and I gave him a bid, just one solid price to do everything he wanted.
Yeah. By split it out, what do you mean by that? Because you're not talking like parts and material breakdown or anything.
I just wrote down on a notepad the items that he wanted repaired and what I was going to do. And then I put a solid price down at the bottom. And it was like 30 some $100. It was 3,000 something. I don't remember how much. And it was definitely over 3,000. And he said, well, you kind of got me over a barrel here. And I said, how come? He's like, well, you're the only one that would answer your phone. And I was like, yep. And he's like, well, I mean, yeah, let's do it. And so I did the work, and it was all good. And he was happy with it. And he, at the end of the job, I went to bill him, and he goes, that's like over $200 an hour, right? I think the work took me a little longer than I thought it was going to. And I said, I think I said something like, yeah. And he goes, lawyers don't even make that. And I said, yeah, I know. And he said, but I couldn't get a hold of anybody else. And I said, yeah, I know. And it was that realization of like, people just want people to show up to their home.
Yeah.
Answer the freaking phone.
Yep.
And go to their house.
Yep.
And be confident in your pricing and sell the dang work.
Mm-hmm.
And a second experience I had it was like a few days later. I hadn't fully committed. Let's see. No, I was in the middle of a remodel project when I was deciding to fully commit to service, and I was just down the street from this guy remodeling, and he called me up and needed a water heater, and I was there in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I gave him a price, and he said okay. I was like, holy crap! It was like $2,800, and I was done in like 2.5 hours. Water heater, pipe to a sidearm coil, all brand new, in his basement. Old one's gone. And I'm billing him. He goes, you sure you're making enough money? You've heard this story, but maybe they haven't.
Sure, I don't care.
And he goes, are you sure you're making enough money? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm sure. He's like, okay, because just want to make sure you're being profitable. And I was like,
Interesting.
So people are willing to pay for good service.
Yeah.
And he said, I called you and you were literally here in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, gotcha.
And then,
Interesting.
And then you swapped this out like right now. I didn't have hot water. And within a few hours of calling you, I had hot water. So he didn't even care about his water heater, the piping, how good of a job I did. It was literally just, he paid to have hot water back on, right?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
And you delivered it super fast.
Super fast, super professional. And I was on the ball for that guy. And it was like a light bulb went off in my head.
Yeah, it taught you an important message about what people value, what they actually really value.
Yeah.
Not what you think they value as the plumber, but what the customer actually wants.
Yeah, I used to go to people's houses and try to give them the cheapest possible fix, the thing that'll get them by for a little while so they didn't have to pay me any money, which if you're in business, that's literally the worst thing you can do.
Sure, of course.
Because you're not going to make any money. And it's also not what the customer wants. And when I started realizing that you have to be the professional in the customer's home, and how much I needed to charge, that's what allowed me to bill out. Like if I had kept that going for a whole year, I would have billed out like $1.5 million by myself.
Sure.
Right. And I would go into people's houses and I would say hello. I'd be nice. I'd ask them how long they lived there. Ask them. So that was during like when people were selling houses like crazy.
Yeah, sure.
And so I'd always ask them like, how long have you lived here? How long are you planning on living here? Like, are you planning on selling anytime soon? That way I get a gauge on like if they're going to want to make long-term repairs or short-term repairs. And I can tell them that when I'm showing them what needs to be done. Hey, you said you were planning on living here for a while, so these are some longer-term repairs that are going to keep you from having these maintenance issues long-term. Hey, you said you're planning on selling, so we can do a kind of a short-term fix to get you through the sale. It's not wrong. It's not right. It's just not going the extra mile to get the extra work done. That kind of stuff. Yeah. And I would go, if I was working on a toilet, I'd say, hey, you want me to work on you want me to look at your other toilets while I'm here? I'll do it for free. I'll look. I'm not going to charge you anything. If I find something, I'll let you know if it's broken and how much it's going to cost before I do anything. And you don't have to fix it if you don't want to, but at least then you know.
Right.
And the customer says, yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
You're already here.
Yeah. They'd feel dumb if they didn't.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, the toilet stopped working and the plumber already left. I should have just had him look at it. Yeah.
So now imagine the customer that says no to you. Well, now it's not your fault if their toilet quits working.
Sure. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you didn't go look at the toilet, they'd be like, damn, plumber was just here. Why don't you look at the rest of my plumbing? They're going to blame you for it.
Yep.
So those little things, I mean, it's literally those few things that allowed me to make a ton of money. So I was not worried about making money at that point. I was like,
man,
I gotcha. Every call I go to, I'm making thousands of dollars.
Yeah, because that's just been your repeat experience, and then you just became more confident in your pricing and in your process that you were working on as you were just doing this day to day.
And I was just knocking down cash.
Yeah.
And then that cash, I didn't spend it on dumb crap.
Sure.
I reinvested it back in my company. I bought more vans. I bought more tools. I got a shop. I changed my name. I rebranded my company and invested heavily in marketing, and it paid off. Okay. We had Trello. I'd look at Trello. That's how we did it. And then she would enter the names in QuickBooks, which was nice. And I got to not look at my phone. I got a text message. Buying a house.
Yeah, I know. You
knew
got
that.
a lot of balls up in the air.
I got
right
a lot
now.
of balls up in the air.
Yeah, many of them.
I had Trello. I'd go to bill the customer on QuickBooks, and the customer would already be in QuickBooks because your wife would put them in QuickBooks.
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to do any little.
So I could write up the invoice, take the payment right on site, and then go back out in my van.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe your wife would then text them for a review and send the review link, ask for a review.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would go to my next card in Trello and I'd text the customer, hey, just so you know, actually I would put their address in Google Maps and see how far away I am.
Oh, yeah, then you can say,
then I would text them, hey, I'm on my way to your house. I'll be there in X amount of minutes. See you then. And then this process start all over again. And then cha-ching, thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I'd move on to the next one. And then cha-ching, thousands of dollars. I move on to the next one.
When you got on, because that's like no software sort of CSR process. How much of the process changed once you got on software as far as like the scheduling side?
Not a whole lot. Just everything becomes way easier.
Sure.
At that point. So, and I would write my estimates on a notepad. And we did that we had 3 guys. We would write our estimates on notepads. We all had Trello. We'd all get our jobs on Trello. We would all bill out on QuickBooks. And so you can imagine it like there's no transparency in the company. Yeah. Nobody knows what anybody else is doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's all just contained to the technician and the CSR.
Yeah. And so it's just kind of a mess.
Yeah.
Right?
Sure.
And so when
where's that estimate? Hold on. Let me flip through my notebook really quick.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. There's no follow up on that.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Sure. How would anybody follow up on a notebook?
Yeah. You can't.
Give me your notebook at the end of the day so I can follow up.
Yeah.
Rip out those pages for me.
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So when we got on Service Titan, it was nice because then we were all on the same page. We could see where everybody's at. We could see what everybody's working on. We could see how much people are billing out. And over the years of using it, we just use it more and more, to its potential.
Sure, of course.
Or we probably still don't use it to its full potential.
Sure.
But at some point you hit that, teetering point, that tipping point of like, we're doing too much stuff in here and we're wasting time.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, it was good to get on Service Titan. It was much cleaner. But the process didn't really change, right?
Yeah.
CSR answers the phone, follows the call script, puts the customer information in, assigns the technician to it. Technician dispatches. Now Service Titan sends the text message automatically. The tech goes out and bills the estimate instead of on a notepad. He bills it in Service Titan. Instead of billing the customer in QuickBooks, it's in Service Titan. When he completes the job, it already sends the text message to get a review.
Sure.
And then he sees his next job and he moves on to the next one. It basically took those 3 softwares and the extra person having to send text messages and just did it all for us, right?
So it just makes the experience on the technician side smoother and easier. They don't have to fumble with this extra stuff.
On everybody's side.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And then long term, having the data available within Service Titan, we wouldn't have been able to get to the point we got to without it, for sure. Without the data, without knowing the little details and having the history and being able to go back. Because once you have enough data, right? When you have 2 years of data, you can, and you're thinking about making a change, it can be really scary because you don't know how that's going to affect the future.
Sure.
But when you have data, you can apply the change to past data to see what would have happened if you had this in place over the last 2 years.
Sure. Interesting.
And you can get a much better idea of how the future is going to look. And it's usually not totally accurate, but it can build a lot of confidence in your decision making.
Yeah, sure.
Which is nice. Yeah. So I guess first part of call center system is really just answering the phone. And that's where the call script comes in. I'm gonna have to find it in here, dude.
Oh man, you should have like dog-eared that.
Dude, totally. Here's average ticket, lifetime value. If you guys don't understand lifetime value, it's in here. It's very, very powerful. How to build your dream team, how to track top talent, employee agreement framework. Like if you don't have an employee agreement, We'll give you the framework for it right here. It's not complicated. Doesn't have to be. Employee retention. How to attract the best customers. Dude, this is good. I always forget what's in here. Turning leads into booked jobs. Right here, guys.
Boom.
So if you find the section, it's section 8, turning leads into booked jobs. We give you the call script that you can follow. And this is literally the call script that we followed to the day that I sold. And it's the call script. Pressure washing call script is going to be slightly different, but it's going to be very, very similar. So,
like, and the same principles are going to apply.
Yeah, exactly. And really, like, the number one main goal of your CSR is book the freaking job.
Yeah.
Like, if she can't book jobs, then she's useless to you.
Yeah.
Because all the other stuff doesn't happen.
Yep.
Entering customer information, following up on leads, all that stuff. If she can't book jobs.
Well, if she can't book jobs, she's not driving revenue and she's not making happy customers.
Correct.
So she's failing on the two most important, like she's failing on the whole purpose of the business.
Yes. And if your CSR isn't booking jobs, follow this call script. Follow this call script. Here's what's funny. So, like, my brother owns a marketing company, and he literally had to hire a VA to listen to all of the phone calls from his clients. So if you sign up with my brother's a marketing company, he's going to get you phone numbers to use that route to your phone number, and they're all going to be recorded. And there's a person that goes through and listens to the call and marks it like spam or non-bookable, which means like they had a question about their invoice or something like that.
Maybe calling to pay on something.
So non-bookable, bookable but not booked, or bookable and booked, right?
Yeah. Which is scary because now you're on the hook.
Or not answered.
Yes.
Missed call.
Yes.
And you would not believe, number one, the amount of missed calls. People will literally call their marketing company, be pissed because they're not getting enough leads, and you go look and they're not answering their freaking phone. You're paying a ton of money to get people to call your business, answer the phone. It's not that difficult.
And if it is difficult, you should probably hire a CSR.
Yeah. And if she's not doing it, hire a different CSR. Yeah. Find somebody who will answer the phone.
Yeah.
So number one, just freaking answer the phone. If you can just do that, if you can just answer the phone, you're better off than probably 70% of the plumbing companies in your area.
Yep. And like answer it relatively quickly too. Like whenever I call a business, if I get an answer on first ring, I'm like, holy crap.
You're like, oh, you're a little surprised.
Like, dang, I'm like,
taken back.
This business is either really slow or like they're on the ball.
Usually you think they're on the ball. Okay. So second thing is you wouldn't believe how many bookable jobs go through the cracks.
Sure.
And one of the things that if a customer calls and they have a plumbing problem, but they're trying to reach another plumbing company, do not just say,
"That's not
sorry,
us."
wrong number, click. I've literally listened to these phone calls and people will answer the phone, hello? It's like, what are you doing? You're supposed to be a professional on the phone. That is not how business answers the phone. Call any other business in town and figure out, like, use your better judgment on which one sounds more professional. It's the one who says, thank you for calling this company. How can I help you today? That's the one that you want to do business with.
Right.
So answer the phone like that. If they're looking for another company, let them know, oh, no, that's not us, but we have a lot of availability and we're really good at fixing that work. Would you like to get on our schedule? We're getting you in right now. Like right now. Get to those customers first. You have an opportunity to steal your competition's customer. Steal them.
Yeah, they're right there.
Go do better than your competition.
Sure.
Doesn't take much to do better work than your competitor because most of your competitors suck. Which is kind of funny. Yeah, okay. Answer the phone. Don't let competitor calls go. When you answer the phone, and it doesn't matter if it's you or your CSR, answer the phone in the playbook, I made a fake plumbing company called Joe's Plumbing.
Great
Terrible name.
Oh, sorry, terrible name.
Terrible,
I get
horrible.
confused.
You're super confused.
Most of the time.
When you so I'm gonna use Joe's Plumbing. Okay, so when you answer the phone, there's two really important parts to this script: the very beginning and the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the middle portion isn't as
Sure.
important. Okay, but the beginning and the end extremely important. Just answer the phone. Thank you for reaching Joe's Plumbing. My name is so and so. How can I help you today?
Mm-hmm.
Not complicated. And then no matter what that customer says, oh, I thought I was calling so-and-so. Do you guys put in water heaters? How much does it cost to fix my toilet? What do you guys charge to snake a drain? Do you guys work on outlets?
Mm.
Will you come clean my house? Doesn't matter what they say. You say, yeah, we can help you with that. Have we done work for you before? It's the magic line.
Mm-hmm.
That way you're taking control of the conversation and you're forcing the customer to say yes or no.
Yep.
You've answered the question. We can definitely help you with that. Have we done work for you before?
Mm-hmm.
Yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
You don't say yes or no, but that's how they're going to answer.
Yeah,
They're going to say, no, I haven't, or yes, I have.
Yep.
And if it's a yes, you're like, cool, let me look you up in the system.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a no, cool, let me grab your information real quick in case we get disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
You get their name, their phone number, you get their email, and you get their address.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have their information and you can market to them again.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what this customer called you for, they own a home. They're your customer.
Yeah, even if it was like something that you don't ever touch.
If you're a
Like
plumber,
how
and
would
they-
the back end of that conversation go? Like you get their information, you're like, oh yeah, we actually don't install pools. or
if you're a plumber and they call you for an outlet, like I need my outlet replaced, I got an outlet that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, we can help you with that. Have we done work for you before?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Imagine you're the customer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh great. Okay, let me grab your information. Obviously, we haven't done work for you before. You put their information in our system. Now we can remarket to them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you let them know, okay, tell me a little more about your problem.
Yeah, sure.
And you're going to be like, oh, I got an outlet that's bad.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to say, oh, unfortunately, we don't actually work on outlets. A lot of people say you never say that, but whatever. Say, what I can do for you, I can help you out by referring you to some of our favorite electricians.
Sure.
These are people that I know run good businesses that will get you taken care
Yeah,
of.
here's their number. Call them right now. They'll answer your phone.
Do you want me to text you their phone number?
Yeah.
Do you want me to text you a link to their GMB? And you go above and beyond to help that customer
Yeah, sure.
find the person they're looking for.
Yeah.
So yes, you help them out, just like you said you were going to,
Sure.
right?
It's always good to have those little referral partners within your
Yeah.
network that you know. Because, I mean, even like other plumbing companies, because sometimes you might just be busy and like
Yeah.
you might have a customer that you're like, listen, like we can't take care of that for you today because of all these reasons.
Yeah,
You should give so-and-so mechanical a call or whatever it might be.
yeah.
And then they'll take care of you. They're great. It's going to be great. Because at the same time, there's still such, you're building goodwill with that customer is really what you're doing.
Yeah. That's a great way to get more work,
Yeah.
believe it or not.
Yep.
Go find good, like if you're a plumber, go find good electricians. Go find I don't know, good carpet cleaner. Go find a good house cleaner. Go find 2 or 3 of them. And get their business cards and just tell them, hey, I get calls all the time for your kind of work. I'd love to start referring your business.
Yep.
And guess what's going to happen? You refer a couple people to them. Guess what they're going to feel
They're
obligated to
gonna
do?
refer a couple, and you don't
They're
even
gonna
have
be
to
like,
ask for it. You don't have to
nope.
be like, "Hey, let's get an arrangement." Just like, no, I'm just gonna
Nope.
refer people to you.
Just refer people to them, and they're going to go, dang, I got a referral from that guy. He held up on his deal. And next time they get asked for a plumber, they're going to be like, you know what? You should probably call this guy. He's pretty cool.
Yep.
And you'll get work that way.
Yep. Reciprocity will take care of the rest.
Correct. Okay. Plus, you get to take care of the customer,
Yeah. Sure.
right? So pick businesses that you know are going to do a good job.
Yeah.
as well.
Don't pick crappy businesses.
Yeah, don't pick
Obviously.
junky businesses. Don't pick hole in the wall,
Yeah.
white van.
Yep.
Go find a good, well-run business that's going to take care of the customer. Okay. So if you do fix their problem, right? If it is something you do in your business, then let them know, hey, we can definitely help you out with that. I'm sorry you're going through that. We have time on the schedule on this day at this time. Does that work for you? Always recommend a time. Don't ask them what time works best. Put them in the time slot that works best for your business.
Mm-hmm.
They'll likely say yes, even if it isn't the best time for them, but you get to fill the slot that you needed to fill.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If they say no and you suggest another time and they say no again, then ask the question.
Yeah.
Okay, let's figure out what time works best for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll see if we have any availability on that time. Oh, okay, we can make that work. Okay. You get the job booked. You agree on a time, you book it, and the end spiel you just run through with the customer is just basically, cool, I've got you booked for this time to this time on this day. Our technician's going to send you a message when he's on the way. If you have a diagnostic fee, this is when you want to mention it. Just so you know, there's a $96 diagnostic fee. But if we repair any service, if we do any repairs or service that day, the diagnostic fee will be waived. Look forward to serving you. Thank you for choosing Joe's Plumbing. We'll see you between 12 and 2 on this day. Thank you. Click. And hang up the phone.
Sure.
That's it.
Simple. Don't let it hang. Don't
Don't let
ask
it
them
hang.
if they have any questions because they'll come up with something.
Yeah, they'll come up with weird questions that you don't need, that they don't even care
Yeah.
about.
And at this point, you've already solved their base need, which is I need somebody to come and look at this thing.
Yep.
Can they be out here quickly? And you're like, yeah, yes to all these things.
Yes, yes, yes. What they really want when they call you is they want a company that has a process for taking care of customers.
And it's obvious that there is a process.
yes.
It's not like this fumble, like, hold on, let me get my pen really quick. Okay,
Yeah.
what's your name again?
It's
Like,
not this
what's your
random
address?
weird thing and they're wondering if the plumber's even going to show up.
Yeah. Oh, hey, can I call you back really quick? I'm kind of in the middle of something.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
yeah.
Doesn't work.
No.
No, not at all. So if you follow this call script, you'll be really good at booking jobs.
Yep.
And what we do is if we get a text message or a GMB message or anything like that, we just call the customer
Yeah.
and we run them through this exact same call script. Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
And it works great.
Mhm.
That's the call script. Okay. So then from there, your CSR needs to dispatch.
Mhm.
And so when she's dispatching, eventually as you grow, you're going to split these departments up. But in the beginning, your CSR is going to do the scheduling, the call answering, and the dispatching. And what you want is you want her to dispatch in a way that's going to make you the most money.
Sure.
So you're going to triage your calls.
Mhm.
Okay, so we're going to book jobs in a certain order. And the way we do it is all the jobs get booked into just one big old pile of jobs. And we have 8 technicians and we assign them one job at a time. Okay?
How come? Why just one?
Because if your technicians see the next job, they're going to start preparing for that job.
Yeah, mentally,
Mentally,
maybe even like
emotionally, whatever.
if it's a job that they're really stoked on, like they're like, oh, I love this.
They're going to
customer in
hurry
this
up at the house
job.
they're at and they're going to make it to the next one.
Yeah.
If you show them their whole day's worth of work, they're going to go to the supply house and they're going to get the parts they think they need for these jobs that they're not
'cause
even
they're
going to end up
optimize
going
their
to.
day, and then
trying
that
to
job's going
optimize
to
their
cancel,
day
and then they
and-
bought all these extra parts that you got to
Blah, blah,
turn.
blah.
It just
blah,
becomes
blah,
this big
blah,
thing. Or more likely, all those extra parts come back to your shop, and then Jared throws them
blah,
away.
blah, blah.
it's
Yep.
just-
What you really want is you want those guys to focus on one job at a time.
Yeah.
The money is made on the job you're on,
Yeah.
not the next one.
It's the opportunity literally in front of you.
It's the opportunity in front of you is where you're going to make more money.
Yeah. Just because job 2, 3, 4 are on the schedule doesn't mean that they'll be there.
Yeah, it doesn't even mean that you're going to get to go to them.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're triaging your calls, then
Yep.
you might get a new job put in that slot, or you might just sell a bunch of work at the first job you go to.
Correct.
Suddenly you're there the rest of the day.
Correct.
And that's what you want. You want a
what you
technician
want.
going, hey, I'm going to go to this house and serve the customer really well. And then this, whatever I got called out there, that's a basic thing, turns
Yep.
into something much bigger. And then I call the CSR. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be here the rest of the day.
Yeah. My GM would put it to the guys. He would say, ideally, you would go to one house and sell a year's worth of work.
Yeah,
He
sure.
took it to the whole extreme.
Yeah, sure. That is true.
He's
though.
like, that would be ideal.
Yeah.
We would be super efficient.
Yeah.
And you would sell your entire time for the whole year and you'd serve that one customer.
Yeah, and that's all you would do.
And that's all you would do.
Yeah.
But that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, what I want you guys to do is go to that customer and try to sell the whole year's worth of work.
Mhm.
And it's a good way of thinking about it, right? Because if you can sell more on every job, then you can push more revenue off of with less marketing, right?
Yeah.
Less customers, more money, more efficiency, more net profits. That's how that works. So it's super important to do that. Triaging, when you're triaging, like, you know, if you have somebody that calls in because they have, you know, I'm trying to think of something that's not an emergency. Toilet flapper.
Classic.
If it's not, it's never an emergency, right?
Yeah,
Your
sure.
toilet still works.
Yep.
And typically you have more than one toilet. So
Typically.
worst case scenario, you go use your other toilets.
Yeah. Or the great outdoors.
And whatever. Leaky toilet flapper isn't that big of a deal anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So that customer probably, you know, that job could turn into, it could be a toilet flapper replacement, could be a toilet tank rebuild, could be a new toilet. You could sell them all new toilets. You never know. But if you compare that to this person's water heater exploded and it's leaking all over their, you know, all over their house.
Right.
Well, the likelihood of that one paying more money over the flapper is much more likely.
Yeah.
So we want to go to that one first. The other thing is, for the customer with the toilet flapper, if you move that customer because you can't get to him today, it's not that big of a deal to the customer.
Like, all right.
He's like, yeah, it's just a toilet flapper. It's not that big of a deal. You can come tomorrow, whatever. To the guy who's got water leaking all over his house and no hot water for his family in the morning, it's a much bigger deal if you got to put him off to the next day.
Yep.
So for good customer service and for profitability, we want to make sure and go to the job that is the most profitable. It can literally mean the difference between making money and not making money.
Oh yeah, totally.
If you don't do that, it's gonna be really hard to make money.
Yep.
So what people typically do is they say, "Yep, we'll schedule you in here, you in here, you in here," and that's what we adhere to.
Yep. The day is
First
set.
come,
we move
first
on
serve.
to Tuesday. Now we're gonna move on to Wednesday. And I think that's what happens when guys are like, "Man, I'm booked out till Wednesday
Yeah,
of next week."
that's what I used to do.
Yep, because it just makes sense. You just first come, first serve mentality.
Yep.
You don't move people because you don't want to make them mad or you don't want to have that
Yep.
conversation or whatever.
Yep, I would book 2 jobs a day, and I would leave Fridays open,
So you have
and
like
I would
this-
book out,
Yeah.
and then inevitably I'd sell my whole day at my first job. We'd have to move the second one over, and then I'd sell it'd take 3 calls the next day to sell my whole day, and then 2 calls the next, and then some people would move into Friday.
Yep.
And number one, it's really hard to schedule that way
Yeah.
when you're
sure.
booking out that far. But
Yeah, because who knows what they're going to be doing in 3 weeks.
yeah, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? Like I would literally have like water heaters booked out 3 months,
Oh, that's wild.
and people would wait
Interesting.
because they couldn't get anybody else to answer their phone.
Yeah, true. So they're like,
That's
well, I
the
guess
crazy
it is
part.
what it is.
Yeah. But still, not good customer service
No.
in my mind. And I could have made money way faster
Yep.
had I stacked all the heavy work in front.
Yeah. Like your schedule isn't set in stone. It's
Right.
a puzzle that your CSRs, if they're good, are always looking at to maximize.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. So they're triaging calls. Like they're making sure you're getting to the best opportunities first, the biggest money makers first, the ones that are the biggest deals to the customers first. That's how you make money. The second part of that, let's see, once they do all that work, then we kind of get into the follow-up process. So there's 2 aspects to follow up. And I used to think this was the dumbest freaking thing on the planet. And it's been around for years. It's called the happy call. And I just thought it was so dumb. Like, just calling to make sure everything went okay, blah, 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 blah. I was like, man, no customer wants you to call them again.
Yeah.
And we started doing this. My manager decided to do this, and it was the best decision ever because, and we say within 30 minutes to 24 hours, somewhere in that time frame, the earlier the better. We need to call the customer back and make sure everything went well. And the thing about it is, if everything went well, the CSR has another opportunity to ask them to leave a review. So review counts go up. Also, if everything goes well, which it typically does on most jobs, you get a much better feel for how well your guys are doing out in the field. So when you're running a company, it's really easy to look at just the negative aspects because they are the ones that glare in your face. You get a 1-star review, it's the one that you think about.
Sure.
You get 25 stars and you get 1 star, and the only thing you can think about is that one stupid 1-star.
Yep, and you talk about it,
And your
that's
whole
the thing.
in the beginning, you're like, my whole company's gonna fail.
Yep,
We're gonna
that's
go
it. We got a
under. It's gonna
1-star.
explode. We're doing it all wrong, and because you lack confidence in what you're doing. And if you can call up and get that positive input from all of your customers, because not all of them leave you 5-star reviews. It's like a small portion of the ones who are happy that leave you a review.
Yep.
If you get that feedback, man, it's impactful, not only for your CSRs, but for you, the business owner, for your journeyman. It helps their perception of the technicians and what the technicians are doing out in the field. And it'll just, it's awesome.
Yeah.
The other thing is if you do mess up, you can get on it to fix it right away.
Yep.
You don't have to wait for a 1-star review to come in to fix a problem because you're calling and checking up on every customer, making sure that everything went well. If it doesn't, you fix it.
Yeah.
That way you can get it fixed, avoid the 1-star review,
Sure.
and turn that 1-star into a 5-star.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, that's one aspect of the follow-up. Happy calls. Should do them. My coffee's getting cold, dude.
I know. Actually, I used this cup and like my coffee stayed hot for a long time.
Yeah, but you drank it all already.
That is true. But it was a more enjoyable experience.
It was.
I didn't have to drink cold coffee.
Dude, I know you didn't know this, but Trump got shot.
What? When?
I had to say it in the podcast. I
Oh,
just wanted
dang.
to so bad.
Man.
Gosh,
I saw a headline that he actually didn't get shot.
it's all fake.
Yeah, could be, you know?
So I watched, we'll get into the last follow-up here right in a second.
We got about 45 minutes of politics, everybody.
But I got a guy I like.
Hang tight.
The 3 of 7 project. I mainly like him because he's got a big beard and long hair and he shoots guns.
Yep.
But he does this thing called Truck Talk, and he was like talking about something, and he mentioned Andy Frisella. So I went and watched some episodes, and 2 things that were interesting, like his we were kind of talking about this the other day, but his idea is that after the debate and after the Trump shooting,
Right.
like Biden looks super bad,
Sure, of course.
and then Trump gets shot in the ear, attempted assassination. Now all of a sudden,
Which
Trump
is crazy.
looks-
Like, if you just think about that for a second, it's absolutely wild.
it is wild. This never happened in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And it'll likely never
And
happen
he was
again.
like this close to being assassinated.
being dead.
Like, that is like the most insane thing ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he got up and pumps his fist and says fight.
Yeah.
And it's like all of a sudden Trump looks really good.
Yeah. He looks like everybody is like, well, shit, I guess. Man.
Yeah.
All the endorsements came out for good reason. Anybody on the fence as an endorsement person was like, wow, the guy literally just got shot, stood up and said, screw you. And then, here we go.
Yeah.
Like, here's my money. Like, whatever.
Yeah. And so Democrats are looking really bad. Republicans are looking really good.
Yeah.
And so Biden drops out.
Yep.
And weird part is that there was no like public statement or whatever. 'Cause
Well, he did just one, at first, he released it on Twitter, which is hilarious.
it is hilarious.
And
isn't it?
then he made a statement maybe yesterday
Yeah.
in the Oval Office, like,
Yep.
I'm here, like to give his little spiel.
But it was
or whatever.
was that the recording?
No, there.
I mean,
He endorsed Kamala Harris
Yeah.
via recording.
okay. We're going way too far down the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
'cause
Anyways.
I don't want to get into like politics and all that, but his idea is that, and if you're this far in, let us know what you think down below because I'm curious. No matter what side you're on, I don't care. I just want to know what you think because
Yeah.
I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
His idea was that
Andy Pasillas?
Andy
Or-
Frisella.
Priscilla.
Is that what it is?
I don't know. I don't know who you're talking about. Andy Pasillas might be somebody else.
Dude,
But the 3 of 7 guy.
we can't leave it like that.
That's true. We have to
On
figure
the
out who it actually
podcast.
is. So we can credit
Andrew Frisella, I think it is.
Andrew Frisella. So we can credit
Andy.
the proper people.
He's a pretty popular dude. I've seen him before.
Is he like a political commentator or what?
Andy Frisella.
Frisella.
And it's Frissella.
Yeah. What's his normal like genre that he covers topic wise?
He does podcasts, and it's all about, I don't know, being a man and
I got you, dude stuff.
dude stuff.
Yeah.
honestly, podcast is boring. But and it gets you hooked in with the good hook and the initial, and then you gotta wait for it. And then you're like, maybe there'll be something else good. So you listen to the rest, and you're like, dag nabbit, I just wasted 45 minutes of my life.
Especially for you who sits there and like watches the podcast. The rest of us, we just put them at 2x speed and go do dishes and stuff.
I can't.
I know.
I won't listen to it. I'll go off in La La Land in my own head.
Greatest superpower, greatest weakness. Anyway,
so his idea is that because Democrats are looking bad, Trump's looking good, Biden drops out, and they bring in Kamala Harris knowing that she's not going to be able to win the presidency.
Yeah, sure.
And his whole thing was like, and she's an idiot because she thinks she can win the presidency.
Yeah, poor girl.
But she can't.
Nah.
And so his thing is that at the Democratic National Convention, which is here in a few weeks.
Oh, that's right. They even had that yet.
They are going to roll out, and he said, a Michelle Obama.
Sure.
And it would be really interesting to see if, with the hopes that that will create enough of a like movement and a high point to carry through to the election.
Yeah.
And the reasoning is, and I would love to know everybody's opinion on this, whether they think the election is fair, if the president is appointed, or if the election is rigged.
Sure.
Because I don't really know what I think. But his idea is that it's rigged. It was rigged last time we had an election, and that when they rig it, they can only cover a certain amount of gap. And the gap between Biden and Trump is too big.
So they have to get a gap closer.
And the gap between Trump and Kamala Harris is too big. Nobody will believe it.
Yeah.
But if they roll in a Michelle Obama,
then they can close
the gap will be small
gap.
enough to where if they rig it, nobody's going to question it. Or enough people are going to believe it.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, so what'll be interesting is if that actually happens. I'll be like, oh, dang, that guy just called it, man.
Yeah.
If that happens, I'll start listening to him more.
Man, if they were really smart, the Democrats would just nominate RFK. If they were really smart. Because then they would actually have a fighting chance. Because I'll vote for RFK. Even as an independent voter, I'll vote for RFK over Trump. Personally.
Yeah, I might too.
Because I like all of his stuff. Mostly, anyway, let's not get down
You know what I can't, you know what I don't like?
What's that?
I can't stand his voice.
I know.
Listen to him.
But when I look at all the things, and like, yeah, there's some like more left-leaning environmental stuff, but
let us know in the comments how my RFK voice was.
That was really good.
Wasn't it?
Yeah. It sounded like you were kind of like struggling with your You've been practicing?
Practicing.
That's a funny thing to practice, Jared. Man, I don't even remember how we got on the. That's actually probably our first political tangent. Wow,
very first
Took
ever.
Us a couple, like 100
Somebody's going to
episodes
comment
get
about our extreme political views and.
Oh man, we're screwed. Actually,
Uh-oh. I got a lot more extreme views. If you guys want to know about those, comment in the comments.
We can just have the podcast is actually going to turn into Jared's extreme views.
My extreme views. I got them. I'm extremely opinionated.
Extremely and loud about it too. Like you should see it. The dinner parties, they're just Jared talking the whole time.
You're so full of crap.
What are we talking about?
I am an opinionated person, though.
Sure. Okay. Follow-up process number 2.
Second part of the follow-up process is
real quick. Hold on.
Is the best part.
The whole segue was because you looked at me and you said, Trump got shot. Did you hear? That's so
I just
funny.
wanted to say it on a podcast.
Yeah, and then we went
like
down
I'm
20
seeing
minutes.
everybody's podcast. It's like Trump shooting.
We didn't even
blah, blah, blah.
We didn't even trend jack. That's what we should have done.
No, we didn't
for the views.
Yeah,
stupid.
It wouldn't have done us any good.
Yeah, probably right.
No.
We just got a bunch of people who listen to podcasts like, wait a second, this is about plumbing.
This isn't about politics.
Dang it!
It's about plumbing business.
I thought I saw some more bearded, manly looking dudes.
It's about home service. Dumb.
Okay. Second follow up stage.
Second part about the follow up is the best part.
It is.
This is something we started doing. So, as a business owner, you should know exactly what it costs you to run your business. If you don't know, go figure it out.
Yeah. Go to the financial systems episode and check that one out.
Go to the financial systems episode. Also, grab the playbook. In the new playbook, if you guys have an old one, it's not in there. But if you have a new one, there's a link in there to my hourly rate calculator. And there's a whole video on how to use the hourly rate calculator. That'll help you determine, just by going through your expenses and adding up your expenses, what it actually costs you to run your business. Okay. Once you know how much it costs you to run your business every month, and I would add in my labor costs as well. And then well, I would figure it out for the whole year, and then I would divide by 12 to figure out the month.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have expenses that you pay once a year, every 6 months,
Sure, of course,
every quarter, and you need to make sure you're capturing all of that in there, okay? But once you have that yearly number, and this is something it's always gonna be a moving target, right? Because you get more expenses, it costs more. You get less expenses, it costs less, basically. You get a guy, you got to add labor, but he's going to be able to produce revenue faster. So you got to move the target, okay? But basically, yearly expenses plus yearly labor expenses. Divide by 12. Now we know how much it costs me per month. Once you hit that monthly number in revenue, start calling back all your unsold estimates and offering a discount to the customer. So first stage of this is, number one, understanding your costs. But second stage of it is don't allow your guys to discount out in the field. No discounts allowed. The only discount they can provide is by selling the customer a membership.
Yeah, I like that.
That's it. Okay? They sell them a membership, and that's the only discount they can provide. If you allow your guys to discount out in the field, they will turn into discount plumbers.
Sure.
Trust me.
Well, because they'll have this crutch that they can always deploy to get the work.
They won't be able to sell without a discount.
Yeah.
I've been there. I've done that. And if you're constantly offering discounts and it's not included in your pricing,
Oh, man.
then you're going to go broke.
Yeah.
It's going to just eat away all of your profits. And you're going to wonder why you're not profitable.
Yep.
It's because you're discounting like everybody's discounting.
Yep.
So when your plumbers are bidding stuff at full price, right? The only discount they give is a membership. Then they don't sell an estimate. Once we hit this monthly revenue number, CSRs call back all those unsold estimates and offer them a 15% discount. You can still be profitable on that work because you've already covered all your expenses.
Yeah.
So now your margins on all the work that you're going to do for the rest of the month goes through the roof. Your technicians continue to sell out in the field at full price for the rest of the month.
Right.
Like they never give the discount.
Yep.
Only your CSRs give the discount, okay? For this to work, we kind of have to talk about the technician commission and the CSR commission.
Sure.
So on the CSR side, we give our CSRs 5% of any jobs that they turn over once we hit that revenue number. So the way that works is the general manager is tracking revenue numbers. If we hit that number, he notifies the CSRs, hey, we hit the revenue number for the month. Let's start calling unsold estimates and get those suckers sold. They track which ones they booked, and that will attribute, we tag them somehow in ServiceTitan and attributes that revenue to the CSR.
Sure.
They get a 5% commission on any of the revenue they turn over. Okay. So that encourages them to do two things. Number one, in the beginning of the month, they're like, we got to help these technicians get to that revenue number because I want to start calling through unsold estimates so I can get my commission.
Right. Yep.
So now they're incentivized to work with the technicians to help them get the best jobs, produce the most revenue, and the highest customer satisfaction.
Yeah.
Right? Now, on your technician's end, the best thing you can do is give them some sort of performance pay.
Sure.
And the best performance pay is by far, maybe we'll cover this on another podcast, or maybe I'll do an actual video on it.
That'd be cool.
If you give them a base pay plus commission on anything over the base, right? So my guys get 10% commission on anything over 10K.
Sure.
10K
per week.
Per week. Yep. So once they bill out 10K, anything over that, they get 10% commission.
Yep. Sure.
So if they bill out $20,000 for the week, they get their base pay plus they get $1,000 in commission. Now this isn't legal in all states.
Sure.
So you got to figure out how to make it legal. Like down here in Florida, you call that commission a bonus.
Right.
And then they can get a bonus. California.
But it does the same thing.
It does the exact same thing.
Use different words.
California, I wouldn't give them a commission. You would bump up their pay $1 for every $1,000 over. So if they did $11,000, let's say their pay was $40 an hour and they produced $11,000, you'd give them $41. $12,000, $42.
Sure.
$13,000, $43,
Mhm.
and so on. That's totally legal. You got to do it different ways for different states.
Yeah, but you can achieve a performance pay perspective like this wherever you're at.
Correct.
You just got to figure out how to wiggle within the systems of your state.
Yes. What that does, because there's a base,
Mhm.
anytime they produce more, you make more as well.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, because, yeah.
Your labor costs go down
Yep.
as a percentage compared to the revenue that the technician brought in.
Yeah, which is like a cheat code.
It's a cheat
It's
code.
wild.
It's a total cheat code.
Yeah.
So last month we did 42% net,
Mhm.
and our labor costs were under 20%.
Yeah.
It's like wild.
You sold more, guys got paid more, had better margins.
I didn't pay them less. I paid them more,
Yep.
but they cost me less
Yep.
as a percentage
Yep.
compared to how much revenue we brought in.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
Yes.
Okay. Because that essentially is just driving costs down.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. In like a roundabout way that you would never really think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's only two ways to make more money.
Mm.
Well, there's three, but you can do more work,
Mhm.
you can cut costs, and you can raise prices.
Mhm.
By putting a commission structure in place, you essentially cut labor costs without actually paying your guys less.
Mhm.
They just become more efficient.
Mm.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you tell your technicians, you sit them down and you show them like, hey, the CSRs, we're trying to hit this monthly revenue goal. Once we hit this goal, everything after that is pure profit.
Mhm.
We're trying to be as profitable as possible because that's how we make sure you guys make money and get paid and provide you with a good place to work. And the more profitable we are, the bigger your paycheck is. Okay. Now the CSRs, once we hit this number, are going to start calling back and selling work for you.
Mm.
They're going to call and offer a discount on all the work that you've already gone to. You've already estimated. You've already taken the pictures. You've already talked to the customer.
If you've done the whole
And
thing.
if they sell that work, all you got to do, you've already done a big portion of the work. All you got to do is go back and actually do the work and bill the customer.
Yeah.
So you can be at the end of the month, if we stack these jobs up for you, you can be really efficient on them.
Yeah.
And your paychecks will be big.
Yep. They'll make, because your technicians are going to then collect on those commissions, but then your CSR is going to collect on the commission.
Correct.
And like we were talking about this, like what has that done to the business culture by just sort of aligning everybody's goals?
That's the thing. Now the CSRs want to work with the technicians want to work with the CSR.
Yeah, because they're aligned, focused at the same target.
They're both trying to get to the same goal
And what's cool is they're problem solving independently
Together.
to get there.
together.
Like, well,
Independently
independently and then together.
Yes.
It's hard to like encourage people to think outside the box at work
Yep.
unless you build a system like this. And then
Yep.
suddenly they're coming to solutions that you never had to tell them.
Yep.
Because they're like, hey, I figured out how to actually sell this job. And I talked to the technician. We orchestrated this thing. And then
Yep.
now we're making money. You're like, great.
Yep.
So proud of you.
So we had a guy that used to be a little bit of a dick to our CSRs, and we put this system in place. And I remember he came in and complained to our general manager about the CSRs were being kind of mean to him by not sending him to these certain jobs.
Sure.
And he goes, so you mean to, my GM says, so you mean to tell me that the way people treat you and talk to you affects the way that you feel? And he goes, well, yeah. He goes, huh. I kind of recall you coming in here and talking to them in not such a nice manner. How do you think that made them feel? And he goes, probably not so good. And he goes, huh. I wonder why they've been sending you to the crappy jobs. And he goes, oh. And ever since then, he's been the nicest person to deal with. Totally different person at work, right?
Interesting.
Kind of funny.
Yeah.
Kind of a funny story.
Yeah. I just love the reality that if you build good systems in your business, it actually solves a lot of your culture problems.
Dude.
That most people attack with like culture problem solving ideas that don't actually really work.
It took me forever to understand culture. I thought if I get breakfast on Mondays and put fizzy waters in the fridge
and have really
supply
strong
beef
values
jerky
and like
we
pat
have,
people on the back.
we have a core values and a mission statement and we hold custom, Christmas parties and guys get bonuses. Everybody's just going to be happy. That's not the case at all. I think Gary Vee, he says, joy doesn't come from free donuts. Joy comes from firing dickheads. But the lesson that I've learned is that if you have dickheads in your business, it might be your fault.
Yeah, sure.
Not really your fault, but it ultimately is your fault. But the system that you put in place is creating dickheads.
Sure, yeah. Or it's not doing something to signal to these dickheads, hey, they could actually be less dickheady and make more money if they just did this thing.
You're kind of incentivizing them. If they're kind of naturally dickheads, you're incentivizing them to keep being dickheads.
And a lot of times high performers just happen to be dickheads.
Yeah.
Especially within like the trades world, because you're so good at your job and then, you're awesome and can't be touched and all this kind of stuff.
And if you're held back from being a high performer and there's no like incentive and pat on the back, more money on your paycheck for being a high performer, they're going to get frustrated.
Yeah, because they're going to look around and be like, man, nobody else is doing work that I'm doing. And, so-and-so's making just as much as me. I'm not appreciated.
Yep.
But then when you build a system that says, wait a second, I can actually demonstrate how awesome I am. But to do so, I have to work together with people and be nice to them. But the result is I actually make significant money.
Yep.
And see, that's the key is like, having a good culture sucks if nobody ever makes any more money. Like it just doesn't really work like you'd want.
So this might be different outside of like home service, but when you're dealing with plumbers and construction workers, they're a different breed of people. They're rough around the edges. They're cussing up a storm. They're prideful in their work. They're cool people in that sense, right? They're very down to earth. And you can't have this happy-go-lucky culture at your company without a good system.
Yep.
Now, once you put in a good system, then you can have it. All of a sudden, people will be nice to each other. They'll be joking with each other. You'll have a whole new company.
Yeah, because everybody is actually making more money. Like,
correct.
You're saying that like at Prospector, a guy had an $8,000 week.
Yeah.
Like that's insane.
Yeah, it is. It's wild.
So it's like, oh yeah, I made $8K this week.
All while the company made the most money it's ever made.
Yeah.
Literally last month, all my guys made more than they've ever made in the entire time they've worked for me. And I made more than the entire time I've owned the company. It was our most profitable month.
Yeah.
Everybody made more money.
And people were happier about it.
And everybody was happy.
Yeah. Like if you're thinking about how can I make my culture better, I would say like, well, how can you get everybody to make more money? Because ultimately, like if people can't make more money in your company, like, and I experienced this at my last job at the air service where it's like, I did pretty well culturally because I genuinely cared about everybody.
Yep.
But the tool I was missing is they actually make more money in relationship to the output. Because if that tool can sink in, then suddenly it's like, hey, I care about you as a human being. I want you to be the best version of you. But also, let's help you make more money by just doing better at your work.
Yep.
That person would be like, Joel is great. He cares about me as a person, and I make way more money now. And I'd be like, cool, we're doing it.
Yep.
And then that person would just be better on all accounts.
Yep. It takes so you have two options. You can either hire a team of highly skilled, highly motivated people who come to work with a great attitude
all
and
the time.
always push forward to do their
it.
best.
For some reason, those people didn't like start their own business or something.
And if you have a whole team of those people, your culture will be fine.
Yep.
But that's I'm going to say that's impossible.
Yeah.
Like we have it slightly right now when we work with just like our core group of people we work with because they're all like that. But you're not going to get a bunch of plumbers like that.
No.
It's not going to happen. And in most businesses, you're not going to get a big group of people together like that. So if you want a good culture, your other option is to just put the system in to create the good culture.
Yeah.
Which, if people can come to work and do a good job and have the freedom to make more money and make you more money, they're going to be happy to do it.
Yeah. And then you can have like your average B player put out numbers that are closer to like an A player without a good system.
Correct.
And then when your A player gets in there, he's like, holy crap, I can just destroy at this company and it doesn't even suck.
Yep.
Huh. I guess I'll just do this.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then if you get people in who, in that system, then who want to be a dickhead and who don't want to, work as a team, still have a bad attitude, Those are the ones you got to get rid of.
Yep.
Hands down.
Yep. And it'll be like pretty apparent that they need to go because everybody around them will be like, this guy sucks. He's actually keeping me from making money with how much he sucks. Yeah. Can you do something about this? It's very obvious.
Yep.
And you don't really have much excuse at that point, so it forces your hand, which is good.
Correct.
So then you just got to do the thing you got to do.
Correctamundo. Okay, last bit of news. I don't know if you noticed.
Uh-oh.
I got a haircut.
Dude, what?
What?
Dang, that's old news. You got a haircut like 3 days ago.
I did. Okay. Dude, that's all I got today.
Cool, man.
If you didn't grab our playbook, go grab it. Send the link in the description or go to www.wealthyplumber.com/playbook. Thanks to all our listeners. If you made it this far, you're awesome. Make sure and comment down below. Tell us what you want to learn next. If there's anything you want us to cover, we'll cover it. We read the comments, believe it or not. Mm-hmm. We appreciate all you guys watching. Never thought we'd make it this far. Cool. Dude, we need a sign off.
Dude, that was it. You just did it.
Okay.
Okay. See ya. Thanks, everybody.
Later.